I'm here with my son, Gerrid. We've been shooting some videos. The links are all below this video so that you can watch all of them. And Gerrid is our Chief Marketing Officer at Joy Organics. He's our secret weapon. Obviously, we're double grateful that he's here, not only because he's my son, but he's doing great things for our business. Gerrid, when we look at the success of Joy Organics, how important has marketing played in our success?
I mean, it's been enormous, yeah.
Yeah. So, as we always talk about, I mean, marketing is the difference. I mean,
Right.
You can create a great website, you could have great products, but people aren't just going to come there.
Right, absolutely.
And one of the other things we've talked about extensively is it's easier to double your conversions than it is to double your traffic.
Absolutely. Especially in the CBD industry where it's hard already to get traffic.
And we are doing, when I say we, Gerrid's team is doing a great job at making little refinements to our web pages so that we convert at a higher level. In fact, we've gotten a lot of feedback from our affiliates who promote multiple brands. And so as an example, if you go to Google and you type in CBD gummies, the first page you're going to see an article from Healthline. You're going to see one from Health Canal. You're going to see one from CBDMD or CBD
WebMD.
WebMD, yeah. CBDMD is another competitor, but WebMD. So if you click on the WebMD one, you're going to see a listing by Joy Organics, but you're going to see listings by other CBD companies. And one of the things we are hearing consistently is that our website converts better
Right.
than our competitors. And so we've really, we're doing a lot to drive traffic, but we again realize it's good to get the traffic, but really the goal is to convert that traffic. So talk a little bit about conversion rate optimization, maybe from a large picture, and then let's dive into some of the things that we're doing to really improve our conversions.
Yeah, let me start actually by talking about the benefits of it, because you have to understand kind of the why behind it before you really want to dig in and do it yourself. First of all, like my dad said, because we've focused on this since the beginning, it's opened up opportunities for us that wouldn't normally be available to other companies because we have high conversion rates. We have affiliates coming to us when they launch a new brand or when they launch a new page. They're like, hey, we need to make sure we get Joy Organics on this page. They convert at a very, very high level. If we didn't have a strong conversion rate, that wouldn't happen. The other thing is, because we have a good conversion rate, it allows us to spend more on advertising. And when you look at like Google ads or Facebook, where you're spending maybe $5, $10, depending on where you're at, to acquire a customer, if you can convert that customer at a higher rate than your competitors, you can afford to spend more on those platforms to bring the traffic to your site. And so that's been a huge, huge way for us to get ahead as well. So that's, really kind of a couple of the benefits that we look at internally. But conversion rate optimization at a high level is really all the things that you have to do to improve the conversion rate, which again, if you look at kind of how to measure a conversion rate, if you're new to this, if you have 100 people that come to your website and 5 of those people convert, that's a 5% conversion rate, which would actually be really, really good. And so what you need to do is you need to look at things from a user experience, and it's actually very, very helpful to get other people to kind of help you, your spouse or a friend, to look at your website and ask them questions like, what was the first thing you noticed? What do we do? What do you feel like makes us unique? And compare that to leading websites, compare it to our website, compare it to other leading websites in the industry. And they should be able to give you helpful feedback that will help you ultimately create a better user experience for your consumers, your visitors, and grow your business through conversion optimization.
And probably one of the most basic things is trust.
Yeah.
If I read once before that people form an opinion of a website in less than 1 second. As soon as that web page opens, you form an impression of that. And if you've put together a low budget website and it looks cheap, you got pretty much a 0% chance of succeeding. I mean, wouldn't you agree with that?
I would agree.
Yeah. And so you've got to have a website that makes you look like you're a multi-million-dollar company. So if you're not willing to invest in a website that makes you look credible, you're just going to struggle. So that's the first thing. And one of the things that we've done is we've looked at a lot of our private label partners' websites, and the large majority of them, rank really low on the trust factor. There's some people who've done it really well, but the vast majority of them, just don't seem to understand that you got to have a website that has credibility. And one of the things to keep in mind is that there's different gifts that we each have. For example, Gerrid and I both have the gift to immediately look at a website and can tell everything that's wrong with it. A lot of other people don't have that gift. A lot of people don't have that eye for design. They launch a website that doesn't look good, but they think it looks great. And that's why getting feedback from others is important. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how professional does my website look? And go to people that you believe have an eye for this. I mean, we've seen designers that are horrible that don't even have an eye for this. So you have to go to somebody that, maybe in the marketing world, if you know somebody who's in marketing that creates really good marketing materials that looks good, ask them if they would do you a favor and look at your website and give you some feedback. So obviously you want to have a good looking website, but we're doing tons of little things.
Oh my goodness.
Every day. I mean, to improve our conversions. And obviously one of the things you can do is look at our website and look at all the things that we're doing, and look at other very credible websites, not just in the CBD industry, but websites that you're going to, and look at what they're doing and the experience that you have on their site and the ability to navigate their site easily and find what it is that you're looking for and their whole checkout process. So talk a little bit about some of the things that you have found that really has made a measurable difference. And again, measurable is not like moving 2%. There's nothing that is going to grow your conversion rates from 3% to 5%, other than maybe a new website. But as far as all these little things, I mean, they're all fractions of 1%.
That's exactly right. And that's the type of improvements we actually look to make. So somebody spends literally their full-time job on my team looking for ways to improve our conversions. And we have grown, I would say, probably 40% in our conversion rate over the last 6 months since this person has been on the team by doing so many little itty bitty things. And I'll go through kind of a couple different categories, but it's not about necessarily one big thing. Again, it is if your website's bad, it's like we just need to do an overhaul. But if your website's already pretty good, it's gonna be about doing a lot of little things. And right now, I would say there's primarily 2 categories of changes that we're making right now as a company. The first of which is, I would call it under the category of clarity, improving clarity for your website. The second category is, I would say, improving function. And let's start with clarity. So clarity, when somebody lands on your website, they should immediately know what you do and what makes you special. And that's a hard thing. It's an easy thing for me to say. It's a hard thing to actually complete. And that's why it's something we're constantly working on. But as a small business, as somebody who's getting started, I would say the number one thing that they need to figure out when they're getting their website going is what's going to make your business different than ours? What's going to be kind of your unique angle that you have that other people aren't using? And I've seen some awesome private label websites where they're like, listen, my story, I'm a 60-year-old grandma who has arthritis, and I want to help other 60-year-old grandmas who have arthritis. Now, if somebody comes to your website and they're a 60-year-old grandma who has arthritis, you're going to have a 80% conversion rate on that person. And that may be a little bit too narrow of a niche, but I'm just trying to share that as an example, that the more that you can clarify your message, the more that you can figure out how you are going to connect with your audience, the better your conversion rate is going to be. One of my absolute favorite books that I'm reading and have kind of continued to go over and over again is by Donald Miller, and it's Creating a Story Brand. And it allows you to clarify that message because, again, I feel like so many people rush into starting a business and they don't actually clarify what makes that business special. This is probably the biggest thing I've learned over the last couple of years, and I've been in marketing my entire career, is the importance of clarifying that message and making sure it's clear to the consumer. Now, going to the second point, function, the function of your website. I would say the number one thing we've done over the last 6 months is done this. What I mean by that is we just get rid of all the white space on our website. And anytime I see white space, I literally like take a screenshot of it. I'm like, reduce this. And the reason why is about 60% of our traffic, and so I would say the same is probably true for you, 60% of your traffic is a mobile user. They're on their phone. And if you have a lot of white space, and you can see white space on desktop, you know that there's probably a tremendous amount of white space on a mobile experience. And the more white space you have, the more that that user has to scroll to figure out the core elements that they have to feel like they have to figure out internally to say, is this a trusted business? Is this somebody I want to do business with? You know, do I want to put my credit card on this website? And for them to build all those trust factors, if you're requiring them to scroll a bunch, they're going to be like, no, I'm not interested. Just like my dad said, they're making this decision in a fraction of a second. And so the more you require scrolling, the less trust you're actually building with your audience.
And so you talked about clarity, which is great, and then function. What percentage of our traffic is mobile?
It's about 60 to 65%.
So, and that's one area that we have made our most significant improvements
Absolutely.
is mobile, because even though a designer may design your site and the term is responsive, where they have your site and it shows up on an iPad and on a mobile phone and on a laptop and a desktop and everything else, and it kind of resizes it, but you can't just take, you know, how it does all of that and say, okay, that's good enough.
Correct.
You know, we're going in and tweaking all of this. And,
Correct.
you know, I did notice when I was on our site yesterday on the mobile, on my phone, that it looked the best that it's ever looked.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Absolutely. Very condensed. Again, you don't want it to be crowded, but you want it to feel compact.
Yeah, it was a great experience. What, on new traffic coming to our site, just to give people an idea, on new traffic, what would you say our conversion rates are?
It's about 2.5% to 3% on new traffic.
So obviously on returning traffic, it's very high, because these are people who've already been there and they're coming back to make a buying decision or a purchase. So the reason I mention that is because I know a lot of times people get frustrated. They can look at their Google Analytics and say, you know, we had 500 people that came to our site this month and we only had 10 sales, and they're discouraged by that. But you know, if we get 500 people to our site and we, you know, have 15 sales, you know, that's whatever, 2.5%. That's what we're getting on our site. So you can't be discouraged by that. What, you know, when you look at other things that people can do that would be fairly simple, without hiring a firm to do it. I mean, I know on our checkout pages we have all kinds of trust symbols on there. You know, obviously people can do their own research on YouTube, how to increase, you know, conversions, which is a great topic. I mean, rather than sitting at home and watching Netflix shows or whatever it is, you know, if you really want to be successful, you need to spend your time learning. Because again, for us, there's nothing that has played a more significant role in our success than our marketing. I mean, just to give you an idea, I mean, you know, you can look at the publicly traded companies in this space, and all their sales are declining, but our sales are increasing. So it's because, you know, of what we're doing on marketing. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, before I do, actually, you know, the thing I want to start with is, you know, when I got started 18 years ago in the SEO industry, I had to fly across the country to learn SEO. Flew to California, we flew to Chicago. That was how you learned. They didn't have YouTube. The resources online were very sparse. And so these days, you could become a master in anything you want through YouTube, through different courses. And so you have to make that decision. I like what my dad mentioned, that, you know, sometimes you got to jump off of Netflix and be like, listen, I actually want to be great at this and I want to put in the time to do that. So that would be maybe the first step, is making that decision. Listen, I want to be great at this. I want to put the time into learning. But as far as doing something simple to improve the conversion rate, I would say the easiest thing is to get an email capture. And we use a tool called Exit Intelligence to do email captures for us. They do split testing on their own. They do conversion optimization on a little box. But you can certainly do this for free. There are so many different plugins. If you do email capture, email collection tools, depending on the platform you're on, you should be able to find something. And here's the reason why it's so important. If I came up to you right now and I said, hey, will you marry me? 98% of people are gonna be like, no. There's 2% that say yes, and you're like, okay, that's maybe a little bit weird. But so many people, they wanna go through a little bit of a journey, right? And an email capture allows you to build a relationship with someone before you actually ask for that sale. And so we have pop-ups on our website. They're different. We have lots of different kinds of pop-up. We have pop-ups for B2B. We have pop-ups depending on where you're on the site from an e-commerce standpoint. And those help us to start building a relationship with a consumer that's not yet really willing to make that buy decision. Again, if we're only converting 2 or 3%, that's a lot of people that leave the website without purchasing. But if we can capture their email and start sending them a couple messages here and there over a period of 30 days, in 30 days when we ask again, they may be like, yeah, I'm willing to give it a shot this time. And that's been a huge, huge driver of success. In fact, we were just going over our numbers yesterday, and for all the channels that we have that drive the most revenue for our business, email's number one. And that's because all these people that were sending the site from SEO, from Facebook, from all the affiliate, we've got so many different traffic channels, and they all come to the site and they make one of two decisions. Either yes, I'm ready to buy right now, or no, I'm not. And for the people that aren't ready to buy, if we can capture their email and start building that relationship, it's resulted in hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in extra revenue every single month for our company.
So, Gerrid, I want to shoot a video after this one and talk about email marketing, since you said it's our number one source of revenue, and it's one that so many businesses are missing out on. But another thing that we do to increase our conversions is retargeting.
Yes.
And so for those of you who've not heard of that term retargeting, if you've ever been to a website and maybe you're looking at a pair of shoes, and all of a sudden now you go to different websites and you see that same brand marketing those shoes, you're being retargeted. And we do a lot of that. Yeah. Talk about the kind of money we spend on retargeting, not maybe from a dollar standpoint, but from a return standpoint.
Right.
So for every dollar we spend, what's our return? So that when these people that we don't have a relationship come to our site, we pixel them, meaning we put a little cookie on their computer, their browser, so that everywhere they go, they get retargeted with our ads. And so that's, again, another way of building a relationship.
Right. Yeah. So it is the highest return that we have on every dollar spent is with retargeting. I believe the return rate from a ROAS perspective, and just to clarify, ROAS is return on ad spend. That's how we measure the effectiveness of all of our advertising. I believe it's about 10 to 15 times. What that means is for every dollar we spend on retargeting, we make between $10 and $15 back. So again, it's easy to look at all of your marketing and advertising in this vacuum and be like, oh, SEO is only producing like a 2 or 3 times return. But you look at things like email, you look at things like retargeting, and those are only successful and only highly profitable because you're driving traffic from maybe all of these other, maybe a little bit lower margin sources. But that's a huge, huge reason for our success. We have somebody that buys advertising for us for retargeting purposes through a program called the Trade Desk. It's a very complicated tool to use, but there are better tools out there. I think it's retargeting or retargeter, and then AdRoll is another really, really popular service that you can look into to handle this for yourself.
And so again, for people who want to learn more about retargeting, what do you suggest?
Yeah, I mean, I would start with a YouTube search, watch a couple videos on it, get the basics. Again, AdRoll is a company I'm pretty familiar with. They have a lot of resources on their website too.
Great. So here's some little things that you can do to kind of increase your conversions. But the biggest advice that I would certainly offer is to look at our website and just know that everything you see is there for a reason.
Right.
Don't look at it and say, oh, we don't need to do that. No, we don't need to do that. There's nothing that is on our website that isn't there for a reason. So just know that it wasn't just coincidentally put there by some designer and that nobody noticed it. So pay close attention to all the details, everything on our site, especially on our shopping pages. Yeah. Anything else that you would share as far as final tips on this?
No, I mean, the other thing that I would say really helps with conversion I was just thinking about is your site speed. And when you were talking about being on our site on a mobile experience, that's something we work really hard at. That is something realistically you're gonna have to get a developer to help with. But if you use a tool like Upwork, it's a platform where you can go hire freelancers. You can find people very affordably, and actually people that specialize in nothing but site speed. and you pay probably a couple $100 to make a very, very significant difference on your website. And I would say more than anything else, just reducing the loading time on your site will probably make a bigger impact than just about anything else. It's literally our conversion rate optimization specialist on my team. It's literally one of her top 5 KPIs every month that she's looking to improve is reducing that loading time. Amazon actually did a study, and I forget the results, but basically for every fraction of a second that you can reduce your loading time, your conversion goes up by that amount.
And this also affects your rankings in Google because that's definitely one of the things that Google's looking at, because their whole objective is to provide a great experience for their users, and they view a site that takes forever to load as a bad experience, and so they're not going to rank those. So it's also one of the things that we're really looking at on SEO.
Absolutely, and it's probably played a pretty significant factor in, we've had a lot of growth over the last 6 months, and it's probably been the conversion optimization improvements we've made.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
All right, well, there you go. There's some ideas on conversion rate optimization, and so make sure you look below this video at the link so that you can see all the different videos that we've shot.